about what you're working on now. You're working on a film called Dreamers.
Dreamers, yeah. Basically, that's a documentary about when I started working on that film. It was called MSR. It was like merengue, salsa,
I was
reggae,
going to
rap.
ask you what happened to that.
Okay.
So
yeah.
what I've done is I'm turning that into a project called Dreamers because it's about a movement with the musicians coming together in the neighborhoods and recording music together. Because usually the media portrays Latinos and Black fighting. And in this documentary or film, I show that that's not true because we work together everywhere. Like you go to a recording studio and you see we're working together. So it's not like we hate each other and we don't get along.
I'm really interested in it because when I was with Joseph, MSR posters were everywhere. And I think you were involved with a guy, Scott. Was the guy named Scott that was helping you, right? And so this was very common in the 90s where the music was fusing. And you could see it and hear it a little bit in Proyecto Uno. They were probably one of the more successful ones, right? To like merge the culture where we became this Spanglish culture.
Yeah.
So the music was fusing, and Joe was right on the cusp of that. But I was curious. So MSR was never completed.
Well, because you see, what it was supposed to be a film.
Right.
We went to a company. I'll tell you the story.
Okay.
We went to a company called Image Entertainment, and they offered to produce the movie for $1.5 million. But they say, we need another director. And I said, no, you're not going to make it without me.
Right.
And they said, we need to recast. We need to get like Diego Luna to play George. And I said, no, because this is a Latin film. And they were like, no. So what they did, they took my script and made a Hollywood movie.
What was it?
It's called Dance With Me with Cheyenne and Vanessa Williams.
Yeah.
And that movie, I said, how come they made that movie so similar to my script? And I said,
wow.
Then I went to the DGA, the Writers Guild, and I said, like, can I get the date when that screenplay was submitted? And they said, we can't disclose that information. I said, like, wow. And I knew they took it from me because I had a quote that says, MSR was the Saturday Night Fevers of the 90s.
I remember that quote.
In one magazine,
like
they wrote for Dance With Me, the Saturday Night Fevers of the 90s.
They used the same tagline.
Wow. And I knew it's like, wow. That's right. When I'm working now, this is my computer right now. Everything is here.
Nobody can hack it.
I don't write screenplays. The way I make movies, I just write notes.
Okay.
And the screenplay comes naturally.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Because if you're making a film, you say you're writing a film, right? You're making a movie.
We want to.
We're working on it. We want to. We
haven't started yet.
Yeah, I don't want to talk too much on camera about it, but yeah, me and Jose, we're working on producing a documentary.
Yeah.
Because one of the myths that people go, if anybody's taking film classes now, forget about all those books that you have read before. Because they say in a screenplay, 1 page is equal to 1 minute.
That's exactly what they say. Yeah,
and
90
that's
pages.
Not true. So people who are writing films, they write a film, and the movie is like 10 hours long. So when you go into the editing, they're like, well, we need 90 minutes out of these 10 hours. So for me, that's not the way I work. I know that if a scene takes place in X amount of time, you don't have to write it that way. If you say Peter and John are having an argument, how long is the argument? What's the pacing of the argument? Or if you say Mary and George are dancing, for how long? The Indians attack the fort.
Right.
So you say how long? For how long do they fight? Or if you say she walks down the hallway, for how long? So whoever is writing films about 1 page per minute, that's more for television sitcoms.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because a sitcom is more like a play. So it has a timing, it has a rhythm. In film, there is no timing. You create the timing. Because sometimes in films, you don't have to talk.
True.
It's the silence that make the film, you know? So for anybody who's trying to make a film, don't follow that rule.
Interesting.
That rule doesn't work.
Do you consider yourself an artist? Because it sounds like you paint pictures. The way you talk about when you're describing your process of making films.
For me, it's like I'm a visual guy. I don't use words that much.
Okay.
I can paint. I have an imagination. And when I see a film, a movie is supposed to be an international piece of art. So if you use language, you
That's
kill
true.
the process.
Yeah.
That's why when you see Chaplin,
Yeah.
and now everything came back. Because if you see Instagram and everybody's making silent film,
Interesting.
and they're using subtitles to communicate. Because when you do a joke, then you could post it on Instagram, but there's no dialogue. So you get more views because people can relate to that.
All over the world.
Yeah, but if you just talk, then it's like, what's going on? Nobody knows.
Okay.
Do you use storyboards though? If you don't use script, do you use storyboards?
I use references. Like
Okay.
I use comic books and whatever reference that I can get.
Is that harder for the actors to work without a script, or is it easier?
It all depends on the actor.
Gotcha.
Because some actors are trained to memorize.
Right. Right.
And all they do is memorize and deliver. I don't like that.
Gotcha.
You want them to feel the character.
I don't
not
like
so
the
much
actor
just
memorizing
like a
lines.
robot.
Okay.
No, I don't like
Interesting.
lines.
Okay.
I say like throw out the screenplay. Just don't do anything.
Okay.
When we were shooting a film in Panama,
With El
Rampa,
General.
with El General,
Yeah.
we were shooting a film, and I told one of the actors, we're gonna rehearse the scene, and the scene is that you're talking to your wife, and then you say this and this and this and that, and then let's rehearse it. And I told the director of photography, shoot it, and then
Nice.
he started roll camera,
Okay.
but the actors didn't know. So when I say, okay, that was good for a rehearsal, let's move on to the next scene. It's like, we got the scene.
You got it already. Yeah.
Because the pressure was off, and
Yeah.
it's more organic, it's more natural. It's,
Right.
I got you.
So I want to go back to Dreamers. So you have all that footage still from the '90s, and you digitized it and everything.
Yeah.
Does it lose quality when you?
Oh man, it looks so beautiful.
Does it? Nice.
Oh my God.
Nice.
That's
I gotta show you
amazing.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
But
great
I can't
that you have
cut
all
it.
of that.
I can't cut it. I have to find somebody else to do it.
What do you mean you can't cut it? What do you mean?
No, because I'm in love with the footage.
Oh, so you
So-
you
So
want to
you-
keep everything?
Yeah.
Directors shouldn't be editing their films.
Interesting. Okay.
I've been trying to edit that film for 30 years.
It's getting longer, actually.
I
right? the
can't
film?
do it.
That's funny.